welcome everyone. Let me share my screen for a minute. And for those of you who are guests of iADS members or through our Facebook or LinkedIn, welcome. I'll be posting on the chat some information about how to join iADS. We now are over 320 members, all dental specialists across the country, and we actually have about 25 international members as well. And we've been going on, I guess, 2.5 years now. So I'm really enjoying it. I get a lot of satisfaction helping other dental specialists survive and thrive and grow their practices. So please join us for webinars. We have a virtual cocktail hour starting up again in the fall. And of course, we have a lot of corporate members. Well, I'll introduce one in a minute. At the end of the presentation, there will be a QR code posted. So please have your smartphone available and you can take a snapshot of, now everybody knows how to use QR codes again, and you can do the course evaluation. We love the feedback, and you'll get a certificate of attendance, and our CE is nationwide. With that said, a little housekeeping. So, and also some upcoming events I think I have coming up here. Oh, we're going to get back to that. Sorry, I'm a little out of order today. Anyway, we're going to try to go straight for the next 40 minutes with Brenda, who I'm going to introduce in a minute. If you have questions, feel free to use the chat. If it's something that you feel is timely and you want to interrupt, by all means, Brenda has given us permission to interrupt her. You can signal me, or you can unmute yourself and say, excuse me, and we'll get you to ask your question. Otherwise, we'll leave the end for Q&A. I'm going to stop my share for a minute and introduce Brenda, who I've known for, I guess, over a year now. Brenda has been in the dental field for over 30 years and is currently an efficiency and profitability coach with Support DDS that we'll talk about later. And what she does is creates increased profitability by establishing systems for practices that focus on the talents of each team member. Brenda, prior to this position, was Chief of Specialty Services with Jameson Management for over 5 years and has provided dental coaching with consulting. And you've probably heard of her speaking at many podiums across major dental events. Outside of dentistry, her passion is her faith, her family, giving back, and volunteering. She has 5 children, 1 grandson who calls her Nana. Brenda is very active in veterans organizations, especially in Navajo code talkers from World War II. And when she is in Zimbabwe, she spends times at various orphanages and enjoys the occasional safari. And as you may have heard us speaking earlier, she resides in Colorado with her husband and her 3 golden retrievers. Big family. With that, I want to welcome Brenda McNulty.
Thank you so much, Dr. Farber. This is a QR code, which will give you all of my contact details. I am really good at responding. You can ask me any question that you want. And in this program, I have a few slides that I pull up that if you would like a copy of a form or anything, please reach out and I'm happy to help you and provide you with any information that you want. Obviously, always complimentary. I will be more than happy to share anything that I bring up today. So let's talk about what today's presentation is all about. Today we're talking about building a brand ambassador. We're talking about having a virtual role that can help you with this brand ambassador in your marketing plan, how to have effective referral marketing visits, how not to market, and there's an awful lot of ways not to market. Who are the decision makers and who decides who you refer to? Why a drop and dash of goodies is not effective anymore, using technology to your advantage, and does everybody know that you are extremely special? So those are the ways that we are going to focus on your marketing today that will make it beneficial for you to pay attention, take notes, and reach out to me if you have any additional questions. So the first thing I want to talk about is utilizing a remote team. Dr. Farber is very active with using remote team members, and I wanted to share with you some of the areas that our remote team members are helping specialists. They are analyzing reports, solidifying new referrals. That might even mean cold calling offices that are around you. They can order referral gifts, calling referring offices, sending reports back to referring offices, sending claims, you name it. They can do it remotely for a fraction of the cost as somebody in your office. People utilize Support DDS for a wide variety of tasks, not just for marketing. We can do insurance, we can do phone calls, anything that your office may need that you find you're struggling with, Support DDS has your back. So please reach out if you are interested in having a remote team member. So that is my commercial. Let me get right into the nuts and bolts of this presentation. So what does referral marketing mean to you? When I have a bunch of specialists in a room or general dentists in the room, I'll ask them, what is your referral marketing like? And more often than not, they will tell me it is sending over donuts or bagels to people that refer to me. So what about those that don't refer to you? How do you get them to do that? When you're sending over bagels, does it even matter to the office whether you sent bagels or not? There's no branding associated with the bagels that you're sending over. So when you're thinking about your referral marketing, think about what is that return on investment and how are you going to see that from what it is that you're doing? When I think of referral marketing, I think about the people that refer to you and the people that you refer to. That is your close-knit network of referral marketing practices, and that is what I want to focus on today. I know we've all had things that's worked and things that haven't worked when it comes to referral marketing. So who can tell me one thing that they've done that they saw a really good return on investment on? You can drop it here in the chat box if you'd like, or you can unmute yourself. But I'd like to hear one thing that you did. And if nobody shares, I will share one of my secrets. Okay, it doesn't look like
we had an event. We had an event for staff. Can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can.
We had a staff not way before COVID, and it was everything you wanted to know about dental implants, but were afraid to ask your dentist. And that worked out really well. We had, I think we had over 100 team members come to that program.
Wow.
At dinner, and it became, our staffs got together. It was really good. A lot of work. We had raffles and prizes. But
definitely a lot of work. What have you done that hasn't worked?
Bagels.
Good answer. Good answer. Although I do love an occasional bagel, I do feel like that doesn't work very well. Justin says just getting out and meeting new referrals personally has had a good ROI. We're going to be talking about that. I completely agree with you that getting out there, getting your name out there is really, really important. Think about when you make these lists, listening to what's working for other people and what's not working and learning from that. Obviously, that's why you're a member of this wonderful group, the iADS, because you're going to learn from that. Let's talk about some things that work with getting your name out there. So over here, there's a picture of a soccer team. Especially if you're a pedo or an ortho office, you're probably getting asked a lot to sponsor a soccer team. You might be asked to sponsor a choir. You might be asked to sponsor pretty much anything. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. The wrong way is to write a check and then just hope that something good happens from it. The right way is to make sure that you're doing your research. What is the target age of the children that I'm sponsoring? Do you get to participate, and what is the anticipated ROI? So coming from a pedo background, I'm looking at this soccer team. If I have the whole team are patients of mine, what is the return on investment? Am I going to get any new patients from it? Well, it depends on what I can do to participate. So when I'm talking about getting your name out there and you have this sponsorship for a soccer team, I'm going to go right back to them and say, do I have the opportunity to be a guest coach where I can be on the sidelines with the soccer team? Can I sponsor pizzas afterwards? Can I sponsor ice cream and toothbrushes? What can I do to let this team know that I care about them? Can I give them goodie bags after the game and give the other team goodie bags afterwards? One of the most successful marketing that I ever did in a pediatric practice was to sponsor a soccer team with 11 children on that. I had all of the parents and all of the players meet us at the pediatric dental office. They came in, we did face painting, we spray painted their hair, we decorated their cars, and they were allowed to decorate the dentist however they wanted to. That dentist was wearing a tutu, had their hair painted, had little antlers on them. It was really cute. And then we caravanned over to the soccer field. When we caravanned over there, we had all of our windows rolled down. We were blaring music, and everybody was looking at the cars that had the name of the dental practice on it. Kids from other teams were saying, how can I get on that team? Not only did we pass out goodies to the team that we were sponsoring and the team that we were playing, we were allowed to set up a booth at the soccer field where we provided oranges and snacks to all of the teams that were there. I am very proud to say that that was an extremely successful event with 30 new pediatric patients by the end of the day. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that we had a computer set up with remote access that we were able to schedule families right there on the spot. So think about it if you're an oral surgeon and your niche is taking out wisdom teeth. Probably don't want to sponsor a 5-year-old soccer team, but you certainly could sponsor a high school soccer team. Even if you are in some other specialty, you can sponsor having occlusal guards made, and everybody has to come to the office to have them made. Once they see your practice, they'll never want to go anywhere else. So that is one of the areas that you can get your name out there. It's not that expensive. And in the long run, you have a very good chance of a return on investment. But just don't write that check and expect those patients to come running to you because that's all you did was write a check. Any questions on that? Good. I'm going to move along. One thing I'm always on the lookout for is what is an opportunity that I can market for the dental practice. And oftentimes it comes from being at an event where you see someone else. And this happened when we were at a family movie night in the park. And there was an orthodontist there. And the orthodontist was passing out everything that glows in the dark. And he had a popcorn booth. So everyone was getting things that glow in the dark and popcorn. And people were running to the booth wanting to get these things after it got dark. So the very next day, our orthodontist reached out and said, we want that spot next year. What do we need to do? We would like exclusive rights to attend this event, pass out popcorn, and to have glow-in-the-dark items. What do we need to do? So we look at those opportunities, whether that is sponsoring a family movie night or whether you see somebody with a billboard in the location that you want. Look for them, keep track of them, and try and access them before that other person gets that opportunity again. You might have to pay a little bit more for that exclusivity, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. So that's my tip, keep track of missed opportunities. Next, your specialist, you know this, determine the budget and stick to it. Sometimes that we go outside of the budget and we don't have a really good return on investment. What I would very strongly encourage you to do is create a marketing calendar and know what your budget is for your quarterly, for your monthly, even for your yearly budget. If you're having a hard time determining what your marketing budget should be, if you contact any marketing company, they will give you a pretty astronomical number that they're thinking that you should do for marketing. I'd be more than happy to help you look at those numbers that you are bringing in, your referral sources, and help you determine a budget that would work for you. But keep in mind that you look at this budget yearly. If you are a pediatric or an orthodontic office, during the summertime, you don't have a lot of time to market. So your marketing budget will be a little bit lower during that time, and it'll be stronger in the other months like back to school. And we call it September because September is always a really slow month, and same with March. So we would want to market, make sure you have marketing dollars available for those months. Happy to help you determine that budget, but it's very important that you have one. When you're talking about your yearly calendar, review it quarterly with your team. Make sure that you think of things outside of the box. Whether you're talking about, I have this great idea to deliver apples and caramel and everything in September. Okay, well, how much is that going to be? And if we do that, are we still going to want to do a candy buyback at the end of October? Or there's this wonderful event that I'd like to set up a booth at a healthcare or at a health expo at the local employer that's really large in the area. So you determine those things and figure out what you can do and make sure it gets on your calendar. Those of you that are pedo or ortho, you might be doing Give Kids a Smile Day. You have to get that on your calendar in October to sign up, and then again in February in order to provide those services. So create that yearly calendar and review it quarterly with your team to determine if those are the same things that you would still like to do. When it comes to marketing, you really need to take more of a transformational leadership style instead of a transactional leadership style. I'm assuming that when you hired your team, you hired people that are going to do a good job and represent your brand. And if you're hiring highly intelligent people, listen to them. Listen to what the market looks like right now. A transformational leader would say to your team, I would like to have 40 new patients next month. Team, how are we going to get there? Brainstorm, action plan, figure out things outside the box. Instead of coming to them and saying, hey team, I spent $6,000 on this magazine ad in the local, dining guide. Your team may look at you all funny and think, I've never looked at that dining guide. What would make you think that that would be a very good marketing strategy? When you go to your team and you tell them what your goals are and you ask them to contribute to that, they're going to feel more support, they're going to feel more morale, and they're going to think outside of the box and probably present to you ideas that you have never thought of before. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And sometimes I feel like dental offices market that way. We still have dental offices that are using Welcome Wagon. Don't kill me. Some of you might be getting some success with Welcome Wagon. But if you are still advertising in the yellow pages, you and I need to have a conversation because that probably is not working very well for you right now. So think about that. Include your team as a transformational leadership style instead of transactional. That is, we're going to do this. Think of all the different ideas that you may have that come from your team. I know this is no surprise to most of you, but you need to keep track of where your referrals are coming from. You need to know when you have a brand new referral from someone. You also need to keep track of how much money it costs you to get that referral from that office. If you're not tracking this, there's a big problem. Utilize your software, know where they're coming from, know how much you spent on that. And if you are still doing the drop and dash and it seems to be working for you, we'll talk about that in a minute. If you are doing that, create a few extra baskets and visit people that you've never been to before in the hopes of getting new referrals. What I can't stand is when I talk to a referring office or a specialist office and I say, how many referrals did you get off of this particular marketing plan? And they go, honestly, I don't know. Because when you run the reports, they say Google or they say internet. That doesn't help you a whole lot. So you need to have team members that are saying, oh, I understand you Googled us. Was there a particular office that mentioned our name? I want to be completely honest with you. All of you specialists that went to school for many, many years to become very good at your craft may not know the brain of a general dentist receptionist. 30 years ago when I started in dentistry, the dentist that we had would give every patient that needed wisdom teeth extracted 3 cards. Here, go to one of these. And the patient would drop those cards in their bag and forget. And they would call in and say, Brenda, Dr. Rabinovich, he gave me some cards for oral surgery. I can't remember who it was. And I would give the name and the number of the oral surgeon that was on my mouse pad every single time. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go look at the cards. I didn't want to go pull the charts and find out whose cards they gave. But I knew that Dr. Tracy's name and telephone number was on my mouse pad every time. Dr. Tracy got the most referrals out of anybody in our office, even though the dentist was giving out 3 cards. And it was because nobody cared about those cards. Nobody even looked at them. They all called me back and said, who should I go to? And when that number's right there, why not? You know how people fight over the really, really good pens? Why not have your logo on those really, really good pens? And why not bring those pens with you when you go out to dinner? And when that waitress or waiter is looking for a pen, you go, here, keep it with my compliments. Think of how many people have gone, oh man, this pen writes so good. Oh, Dr. Alan Farber. Oh, I'm in need of a good dentist. So think about that. Where are the referrals coming from? How are they getting your numbers? Works well. This is the biggest key. Know that decision maker in the office. Like I said, many dentists just give out 3 cards. Others will just get walked to the front and they'll say, Dr. Farber would like to refer him to an oral surgeon. And it's actually the receptionists that are making those decisions. So when you send over a case of wine to the doctor at Christmas time and he's taking it home to himself, you may not be getting as much traction as the person who delivers Bath and Body Works to every team member in that office. Think about that. Who do they like best? It might be that when I call up to schedule a patient in Dr. Smith's office, that person on the end of the phone is rude to me. So I don't want to give the card to Dr. Smith's office anymore. I want to give it to Dr. Jones' office because that person is really nice to me when I call in. Know who the decision makers are. Meet up with them and ask them questions. One of the first things that I did when I was managing specialty practices is I called up every office that referred to us. And I said, may I please have a lunch with your office manager? I wanted to get to know them. I wanted them to know that I care about them and that I am here to help. And once you know that information, you're going to be successful. Because the days of the drop and dash of the bagel is long gone. I can't tell you how many times that a doctor's sitting there eating a bagel and somebody says, who are these from? And they go, I can't remember. Because not every bagel has your logo on them. They might have a sticker on the box, but let me tell you, at Christmas time, at any of the holiday times, Offices are getting so many goodies that it's just piling up on tables. And it doesn't work that way anymore. It really doesn't. So you have to consider that when you're thinking about it. I mean, these bagels, they look really good. It's 6 o'clock. It's dinner time here in Colorado. I'm looking at them going, they're really good. But I can't even remember what bagel shop I got the picture off of. So think about that a little bit. Use technology. Make it so easy to refer to you that you're the easiest one. When I would have those meetings with the dental office, I would say, how can I make this super easy for you to refer to us? What would be the easiest way? It used to be our referral pads were a fax cover sheet. They would put down the patient's name, they would put down the patient's telephone number, they would put down what they're referring to, and they would fax it over to me. And I would contact that patient immediately because the first contact was the one who got the appointment. But how many people have fax machines anymore? It just doesn't work that way. So think about technology. What about a QR code? The offices can scan this QR code, fill it out, hit send, and now you have the patient's information. And then you can have that sent directly back to the patient. When I was talking to office managers, one said, you know what, we stopped referring to you guys because Dr. Jones down the street, they gave us an iPad. And on that iPad, there's an app. And I just click it, I put in the patient's information, and I can upload their x-rays to it, and it all gets sent directly to their office. It's really easy for me. I can take a picture of the patient's insurance card for them if they want me to. So that's why we're referring to so-and-so's office. Like, oh yeah, how can we one-up that? Let's use our technology to make it easier for people to refer instead of harder. You probably remember back in the day, most of you that are of Nana age, like I am, how they used to be in triplicate. One would go to the patient, one would go in the chart, and one would get sent to the referring office. And maybe if we're lucky, 5 days later, somebody would get a call and they needed to schedule. What if they just had a cell phone in the office that the specialist provides, that they can hit one number on the memory dial and it calls that office right away? And that patient picks up that cell phone, they take down all the information, they hit end, and then it goes back on the counter. What about doing that? Prepaid plans, whatever you need to. Think about it. It works really well. Those old referral pads probably aren't doing you a whole lot of justice that much anymore. Of course, you need to run reports, you need to work your reports, and you need to follow up on your reports. So I want to take you back to when I was managing a multi-location pediatric practice. And I had an orthodontist that were sending us hard copies of a pano. Well, we were a chartless office, and now I owned this pano for 7 years that I had to figure out a way to get uploaded into the patient's chart, when really, you know that if you scan a hard copy of a pano, it doesn't work out that well for us. So we stopped referring to them. It took that office over 6 months to find out that we hadn't referred a single patient to them. Finally, somebody calls up and says, hey, I'd like to know why you haven't been referring patients to us. I said, well, thank you for asking that question. We were getting hard copies of a pano, and that really doesn't work with our documentation here in the practice. And if it was digital and we were getting digital copies of it, that would be a lot better, because now I have a drawer that's full of panos that I have to hang on to. And it just really doesn't make sense to me. And the doctor said, we sure do love your patients. You mean to tell me that if I had digital radiographs, you would refer back to me? I said, I'll get with the doctor, but I'm pretty darn sure that we would. So within the next month or two, he had a digital pan in his office, and we started referring back to him. He had been missing out, we figured, probably on 300 ortho referrals. because he was one of the top offices that we referred to. When you follow up on those reports and you ask people, I'm just curious. You used to refer to us all the time. Did something happen? Is there anything that I can do to make this relationship better? You might be surprised, because we've also stopped referring to offices because of rude people on the telephone. And they're not going to call you and say, hey, this person was rude. They're just going to go, you know what? I don't want to work with them anymore. So think about that when you look at these reports. Find out where your trends are, what's going up, what's going down, and work that. This is an actual cookie that was received by my dental office when I was there consulting with her. In case you can't read it, it says, I'm sorry the patient I sent you was a douchebag. The referring office that sent a patient over to her for LANAP procedures realized what a terrible patient they had sent over. And he felt very, very bad, and he sent the office this cookie. I actually got to enjoy this cookie with the office. We all got a really good laugh out of it. But it is a two-way street. You refer to them, they might refer to you. You might end up sending a bad patient to them. And when you do, make up for it. Simply don't go, oh, well, those things happen. Call them, explain your situation, tell them how sorry you are, so that they still refer to you. Can you imagine getting this cookie where she was mad an hour earlier about how the patient was so terrible, and now she's laughing, going, oh, it's all good. It's all, it's fine. I get it. We're not going to have all these wonderful patients. But just a little bit sooner than that, she was angry at the quality of patient that was sent to them. So I thought this was funny. I took a picture of her cookie. It lasted all of about 15 minutes, and the whole entire staff devoured it, but we got a really good laugh out of it. Never stop marketing. When you have too many patients, I don't believe it. Still market. When you think that, oh, I never have to market in the month of May because I always have patients in May. Never stop marketing. Call your offices. Do those follow-up calls. Have a remote team member call back to the general dentist and say, I completed that root canal. I have sent you an email with the final x-ray. It was a very good patient. Thank you so much for referring them. Take that time to call the referring offices. Let them know the email is coming. Sometimes they go to spam. Make sure that they know that you are referring them right back to that office. This is especially important if you are somebody like a pediatric dentist that's getting referrals from general dentists. Let them know that you're going to do all of the sedation work, but you're going to refer them right back to the general office for their next recare appointment. That's important because you may find that you suddenly are not getting those referrals anymore because they think that you're keeping the patient. So establish that relationship, call them, work on it often, and make sure that everyone sees this as a win-win. Never stop marketing. Everything that you do for your practice is marketing. If you are still using a copy of a copy of a copy, even on your new patient forms, please stop. Make them in color. Make them represent your brand. Make them look fantastic because people are going to be spending money on you. Have a folder with all of your information in it. That is going to be worth the amount of money that you spend because it is going to represent you. So remember that. Have a brand ambassador. I still remember Tiffany. Tiffany was probably about 18 years ago now. And when we saw her car pull up in the parking lot, we're like, yay, Tiffany is here. Because Tiffany always brought wonderful things from the referring dental office. She also brought a smile on her face. She was filled with compliments, and she brought us a status report of every patient that we had referred to them and what was going on with them. So I was able to follow up with the patients that didn't go through and have their work done, find out if maybe they went elsewhere. But I was also able to make sure that she saw the value for what we were giving her. This brand ambassador, have logos on them, but don't let them do a drop and dash. Here you go, bye. I want your brand ambassador to come in and look around and go, wow, I love your office. Would you mind giving me a tour? Because somebody who is a brand ambassador is very smart. They need to be on the lookout for things. When they're being walked around the office, they can look in the doctor's office and go, okay, he's into golf. Oh, let's look at this staff lounge. Oh, they have a Keurig. Okay, good. I know that they like coffee because not everybody drinks coffee. They're looking around, they may see a particular artist where they have artwork on the wall. They see what the office is all about and they're sharing, oh, I love this. Oh, I love that. Oh, look, they have this. They have all of this new technology. And then when they leave the office, they can fill out a form that says what the office has. And I'm going to show that in just a minute. The brand ambassador is going to be a professional. They're going to know everything and anything about you. People are going to love them. They should be organized, outgoing, creative. They should be budget conscious and someone that you want to be around. Somebody who is a miracle worker. So Dr. Farber could actually tell me, hey, Brenda, I only have a budget of $400 this month, but I need you to visit these 10 offices. Can you do it? Sure, I can. Let me figure out what I can do. And I would go back through my network of information and things that I have from my organization, and I'm going to say, okay, well, these 10 offices, they all have the average of about 10 people in them. So how much money can I spend on per person? Is this something where I have to show up with a very, very large pizza? Or is this something that I can afford to buy everyone a scratch and win lottery ticket because we're so lucky to have them referring to us? And I'm going to go through my big old pail of ideas and I'm going to find something that meets the budget and something that is creative. I have been known to make my own goodies if I need to bring to the dental offices, everything branded, stamped with our notebooks, whatever it is that we have on hand. But think about this person has to show up and not drop it on the counter and walk away. They have to build that TLC with that referring office, the trust, like, and confidence in you as a referring office. So here's a copy of what our brand ambassador would walk around with. When I took them to lunch, the office manager, I would ask them questions like, when's the doctor's birthday? Do you guys normally celebrate that? Oh, you do? What do you? Can I possibly be the one that sends a birthday cake over? I would love to be responsible for sending Dr. Farber's birthday cake over. And yes, I can put happy birthday on it and I can put our logo on it. I could put find out what their telephone number is, but most importantly, I need to know this. How many front office team members do you have and how many clinical team members do you have? Because there is nothing worse than having somebody drop off 10 items for a team of 25. Who gets those? Most of the time, the doctor will just end up taking them home because there's not enough for everyone. I want to know how many team members they have. I want to know who the office manager is, the clinical coordinator. I want to know all the associates. I want to be able to have an intimate knowledge of this practice. So when the next time I come, I can handwrite cards to each and every one of them. Want to know their office hours and their lunchtime, because if I'm going to pay somebody to go to their office, I want them to go when the office is open. If there's any specialty notes, I want to know that. While I have this office manager out to lunch, I'm going to ask her, so who really decides where the patients get referred to? This one is for a specialty office. So how do you determine who to refer a patient with pediatric needs to? I'm sure if you're a periodontist, There's probably other periodontists. So how does your doctor decide, or the person that's making those decisions, where to go, where to send them to? And then I ask them, okay, so tell me, what's the best gift you guys ever received? What was the thing that was a big, huge hit? And what was a dud, and why? So I once worked for a dentist that did not allow coffee in the office at all. And a referring office brought over a coffee basket, brought over Starbucks coffees one day, and that was definitely a dud. I also had a doctor who was an incredible person and was very, very healthy and didn't like the fact that somebody brought over a candy basket. But what was a big hit? Somebody who brought over 10 tickets to a Rockies game where I could bring 10 team members with. And when we got there, we found other offices that there weren't any other specialists like us, but there certainly were a lot of other people that we could mingle with that had a vested interest in dental health there. That was a big hit. So I asked them, what's the best thing? What was the worst thing? Because I certainly do not want to duplicate the worst thing. I'm looking for any food allergies in the office. I don't want to bring anything that they don't want to have in the office. I want to know what the doctor's hobbies are. I also want to know, do they have any charities or something that they contribute to? Because we once had somebody that sent in a donation in our name to Wounded Warriors. And the doctor thought that was really nice. But if the office really knew us, they would know that I give a lot to the Humane Society. I would have much preferred that. Ask them if they'd be interested in any continuing education courses if they were made available. I really believe strongly that they should come into your office for continuing education courses. I can make this marketing referral sheet available to any of you that would like it. In your office CE is a great investment for referral marketing. You all know people need to get certified in CPR often. And I would see the numbers go up right about the time people needed to get recertified in something that we offered. And then they would drop down. So in office CE, they get to see your office. They get to determine what it's like for the people that they refer to you. It's a really good investment. When you utilize your remote team member, you can have them analyzing those reports, soliciting new referrals like we talked about, ordering referral gifts, calling referring offices, calling your patients, calling the referring offices and telling them, yes, we finished this. There's a lot that your remote team member can do. Always let your mission and vision be your steering compass for any decisions that you're making, whether that be marketing or whether that be the choice of having a remote team member. If it's not something that you feel is going to match your mission and vision, let's say it's a marketing event and it's really not something that you feel in your heart you should be participating in, let your mission and vision be your steering compass. This is where I work at Support DDS. This is the building where all of our team members work out of. Nobody works from home. Our call center is equipped with state-of-the-art IT and access control systems, and we donate 51% of our profits to making this world a better place. It's not just Christian ministries, it's supporting those orphanages that I talked about, or that Dr. Farber talked about at the very beginning of it. We're digging clean water wells, and we're helping people in all industry sectors. We do support CPA, support ministries, support chiropractic, support doctors, support realty, support SimWorks, but our biggest is support DDS. This is why we do it. We find it's a win for our clients who can benefit from increased efficiency and profitability. It's a win for our team members. Zimbabwe has about an 80% unemployment rate, unofficial. We're able to supply them with a job, with healthcare benefits, and even transportation home. And then, of course, it's a win for all of the different charities that we support with our 51% that we donate. Here's some pictures of the orphanages that we have gone to visit and the things that we have done while we're there. We've given school supplies, supplied meals, and even the picture on the far left is of an orphanage that we planted a whole field and put in an irrigation system for them. If you're interested at all in having a virtual team member, whether that's for marketing or whether that's to help your practice, on the screen is a QR code that you can scan, and that will let you download a successful guide today that will tell you how to utilize a virtual team member. Thank you so very much for allowing me this opportunity to speak with you today. The floor is open to any questions that you might have, whether it's about a remote team member or whether it is about marketing opportunities. Like Dr. Farber said, the last 10 years, I have been a consultant for specialty practices. I freely give out any advice or information that you might need and to be successful within your practice. So the floor is open to you, Dr. Farber, and anybody that would like to ask a question.
Well, thank you, Brenda. That's a topic, I think you're right. It's a 40-hour topic that you hit some high points on. So I want to talk. I have tried unsuccessfully to have an ambassador. While I'm chatting with you, for those of you who want to fill out a course evaluation, since you had the other QR code up, take a minute and scan this real quick so you can get CE and fill out a course evaluation, please. So the challenge for me, and I also want to talk about our two virtual, remote, not virtual, they're real people, but they're remote employees. That we have one for iADS that a lot of our members have spoken with or worked with, Rue, and then we have Lorraine, who does, and I'll share with the group what they do in our practice. But how do we find, so you can't have a remote PRD, you need an in-person one. Yes, you could probably help that person be more efficient, because what I found personality-wise, the person who would visit offices and be social wasn't good at reporting. And so I think that's a great idea to use a remote employee to help the ambassador. But my challenge has been getting the right ambassador. Some, were more social and not coming back with information. Mm-hmm. Any suggestions on if we were put an ad out tomorrow or go on Indeed for an ambassador, how would you do that? Any tips of that?
Fantastic question. I would, first of all, ask different questions in your interview process than you normally might ask. I might ask a problem-solving question, such as, I'm interested in putting a fire hydrant in the front of our property. If I told you that was your assignment, how would you go about making that happen? And what I'm looking for is somebody that answers, I know a guy who knows a guy that can get me that information. Because I need somebody who is social. You can have them take a personality test, such as DISC. You're looking for a high I personality, somebody who cares about their appearance, somebody who is arrives on time, somebody who is very thankful for the opportunity, somebody who compliments you during the interview. Those are all signs of a really good brand ambassador. But remember, you don't necessarily have to have a full-time brand ambassador. You can have somebody working behind the scenes on all the reporting and the calling, and somebody who has a wonderful phone voice, and then have somebody else doing your deliveries for you. And when they're doing those deliveries, they can simply have somebody that maybe is doing it once or twice a month for you and is just bubbly and all excited. And when you find that right person, it might even be a patient that you feel really drawn to, somebody who's written a really good review, somebody who's singing your praises. That's really what you want to look for. The captain of the cheerleading squad. There you go.
You find that the investment, because there's a twofold investment. One is, like you said, a budget of goodies or whatever you're bringing along monthly, and then there's the investment of the 1 or 2 employees. So there could be, quite a cost. Did you find that the ROI was good, worth the investment with this person?
Honestly, it depends on how much you rely on referral marketing. Mm-hmm. For an ortho office, that person may be full-time and they may be driving around in a mobile that's wrapped, that has the ortho office logo on it. But maybe for an endodontic office, You probably don't need a car that's wrapped, and you probably don't need all of that full-time work. If you have 6 associates under your building, that very well might be a full-time position. So it honestly depends on how many new patients you need and how much the workload is. A remote team member, you're looking at about $1,980 a month to handle all of the backside of it.
Mhm. Do you think it's a full-time position for a large practice for remote person just for this aspect?
It's kind of a double-edged sword. So I would first look at your numbers to determine whether I thought it was a full-time position or not.
Mhm.
If you're talking about, you only have 10 offices that refer to you and that's all you need to be successful, I would say a full-time position on the backside, not a full-time position for deliveries and in-office visits. And that first initial in-office visit where they actually take the office manager out to lunch, that could just be an office manager. It wouldn't necessarily have to be a brand ambassador. So it really depends on the amount of new patients you're trying to achieve through that and how many offices you're dealing with. So it's hard to answer that question. Be happy to look at reports for you and see where you land.
Thank you. Please feel free to ask questions while you're thinking of them. I just want to thank Brenda. Support DDS is one of our corporate members. So they, this isn't a sales pitch, by the way, but we did a little bit of that. We do have a team member that actually is on the morning meetings with us on Zoom. Her name's Lorraine, and what she does for us, and Brenda helped me with this, was anything that was kind of, first we went through all the tasks of the front desk team, and we said, what is redundant? What do we feel we can have a remote person do? And so what they actually do first is go through the schedule, look ahead of the schedule, look at all new patients coming in, touch base with the referring doctor, and make sure we have the X-ray radiographs, make sure we have the health history done. All that tedious work we took off the front desk. So Lorraine's a full-time team member, and she joins us for all our morning meetings as well. And that's worked out well. I think it's about 8 months now, or maybe longer, maybe a year. And then I have Rue, who you see on iADS, who does a lot of the webinar setups and all the Zoom setups and all the postings. And so that's a full-time position. So if you're interested in having, I want to get both a live and a remote person to do the PRD marketing. We used to have that, and we kind of let that dwindle during COVID, but it was successful. It's very interesting because they could visit an office like a new potential office 5 times, and nothing happens at all. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you stop visiting them and they start referring to you. I just don't understand that. But.
So that's a very interesting point that you bring up. In marketing, they call it the 5-7-11 rule. So you have to see something 5 times. You have to meet somebody almost 11 times. And 7 right there in the middle, that's the good luck number. 7 times of interactions of either meeting them, seeing them, or actually attending to their needs is where the hot spot is of being able to speak to somebody. But if you are visiting offices more than 11 times and you've never gotten a referral from them, it's time to stop. Please stop. You're wasting your money. You can certainly call them and ask them why. I've visited you. Would you consider referring somebody to me? But it really, let's talk real numbers here. Your return on investment is pretty slim to none at that point.
A couple of questions for the group and everyone in iADS. One, that form was a great form. Can you share that with me to post on the on our site?
Absolutely.
Put it on Support DDS as well. And if somebody on the group wants to work like a marketing budget with you, they can just contact you. I know you posted your information. Can you share that screen one more time?
Absolutely.
They could they could reach out to you and you'll work with them on establishing a budget for their marketing.
Of course, I can do that. I would love to be able to help somebody through that. And obviously, one of the ways that you trim down your budget is by having a remote team member. So I just be prepared for me to kind of push that a little bit. I don't advertise for that particular thing. I don't want to be that pushy, but I do want to tell you that when you are looking at a return on investment for marketing, every single penny counts. And if you can have somebody doing a lot of that remotely for you, you're going to see a return on investment. I'd be happy to do that.
When I was working on my budget, you don't realize how much it costs, even like having study clubs and how much time you're devoting to it. And then seeing if you're getting the right return, sometimes not just financially, but sometimes in the amount of energy and time you put into it. That was one of my frustrations with one of my study clubs, just, how many refers am I really getting out of it? I'm spending all this time putting it together.
That's right. Back in 2006, I was working for a pediatric/orthodontist practice, and we were trying to think outside the box for marketing. And I went and became CPR certified. And that was one of the best things that we ever did, is I became an instructor. And I had people coming to our office to get CPR certified. And we did find that the numbers would go up right about the time that they needed to be certified again. They would start referring to us. But most importantly, people felt very, very comfortable referring to us after seeing our practice.
That's great.
It was smart. So the study clubs, if you can have them in your office, even better. And there are lots of professional speakers out there. I know I speak a lot on case acceptance. I speak on personality, on hiring the right people, increasing your morale. There's a ton of topics out there. And there's a lot of very exceptional speakers out there that you can hire for a minimal amount of money to come and speak at a study club for you, or come speak in your office on the hot topics.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up soon. So if you have any other questions for Brenda or myself, feel free to put it in the chat. But we recently had a team appreciation CE program and had a dental coach present. And I did that instead of a holiday gift this year. So they can invite the doctors and their team and as many team members as they want. We had a brunch. And that was pretty effective. After a few years of not meeting in person, everybody wanted to get out. So that was one of the things that I think was very effective.
One of the ways that I thanked clients a couple of years ago is I bought a whole bunch of winter jackets. And I took the business card from all of the clients that I was working with, and I took a picture of the jacket, put the business card in the pocket, and we delivered it to a homeless shelter. And I sent the offices that picture and told them wrote out a story on what I did. And they said, could you please do that again? Because I do not need any more bagels. I do not need any cookies. But this was very, very meaningful to me, and I appreciate that. So knowing your audience and knowing what they want, like you having that CE class, it worked. It sounds like that's a winner for this year too. And I know where you can get a good speaker.
It'd be great if on our site people posted some of the duds that didn't work and some of the things, and if they're willing to share. I know
that would be wonderful.
Like got dreaded around the holiday time about figuring out gifts each year. So that's why I did this event. One of the reasons.
I can give you 5 duds off the top of my head really quick before we close. Number 1, putting your name on a shopping cart does not work. Number 2, sponsoring a pharmacy bag. Putting your name on a pharmacy bag, that does not work. 3, sponsoring some sort of soccer team or something and not doing anything about it, that's not going to work for you. Number 4, only delivering a gift to the doctor. Your team members are also making those decisions. And number 5, not knowing the office and sending something like wine to an office that has religious beliefs and they don't drink. No brainer.
But bagels always work. No, I'm kidding.
What if you're gluten intolerant?
You're right. All right, it's 5 after 9. We've kept to our time frame. I thank
Thank you.
Brenda for that. Thanks for some of you putting in things in the chat, but we'll post some more information on the site. Brenda will send me that form. So that'll be up and this recording will be up to share with some of your team members. And if you're interested in how we're using some remote team members, feel free to reach out to me. And I want to wish everybody a healthy, stay safe rest of your week and weekend. Brenda, we'll talk soon. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.